Finally, a game I can win.
Another big highlight that I've seen a lot of universal praise for is Rogue Space Marine, which is a sci-fi themed roguelike where you are going around a level infested with aliens and robots and things, and you start off with 3 abilities, I think. Shoot, melee, and something else which I don't remember.
A short-range teleport, I think.
Yes. And each one has a cooldown to it, so that when you use your gun, you can't use your gun for another X turns. And the same with the melee attack and the movement attack. And they're all quite short turns, but it leads to some really tight gameplay. And you can pick up more abilities as you go on, and these all have associated cooldowns too. And the game itself seems to be pretty well designed, because the abilities that you have and the enemies that you face all stack together nicely. You have a time limit to get through the level, but a turn-based time limit, but and it just works really nicely. It's very fluid to play. The enemies, a lot of them are ranged, so they fire these shots at you, but it's turn-based and the slow shots, so you get this chance to dodge out of the way. And your shots don't hit them instantly, so you have to lead the enemies and think about where they're going to go and so on. It leads to a lot of interesting thought and tactics and positioning, and you're thinking of your positions, you're thinking of your turns as well. When's this ability going to come back online? Should I move behind here now, or should I wait a sec? There's a lot of really nice gameplay to it. I was very impressed by that game.
It's very well balanced for a game made in 7 days.
Indeed.
But the part of it that really caught my attention was the way that the ability system is also the health system. And when you take a hit, one of your abilities chosen at random is deactivated.
Yes. I'd forgotten about that because I tried my best not to get hit. But yes, it's something I don't like, actually. I've seen it in a few games, and it's got this kind of silly thing that when you get hit, everything just escalates. And in the game, if I remember rightly, once you get hit, you've lost that ability for that level.
Yes.
So, you take a hit on an important ability and suddenly you're a lot more vulnerable. It's a lot harder to kill things, and you're just much more likely to die because you're at lower health and you've lost an ability. I much prefer the opposite style of thing, that, there's an advantage to be gained in sacrificing a bit of health and, making the game riskier, but you get some cool ability for that. Instead, this game double punishes you for getting hit.
Well, Usually, I don't like that sort of system where it just snowballs. Once you make one mistake, it's really hard to claw your way back to a manageable position. Usually that puts me off, but it didn't put me off with Rogue Space Marine. I think maybe it's because you only lose the ability for that level, so you get it back at the end of the level if you manage to get that far. And even at the beginning of the game, you start off with multiple attack abilities. You have the gun and the melee attack. So you're not completely out of action if you lose one of those.
If you get hit twice, though, you're screwed.
But it also creates a bit of a tension with the time pressure, I think. Because if you don't get to the end of the level before the turn timer ticks down, then everything goes very, very bad very quickly. So there's this pressure to move on quickly and maybe take some risks, but the downside of taking those risks is that if they don't pay off, it can be very debilitating. And personally, I quite liked that tension to it, and I felt like the balance was done well enough that I never felt too badly impeded by just one hit. 2 hits is a different matter. And of course, you gain extra abilities as you complete levels. So a single hit by itself becomes less of an issue the further through the game you go. So I think that balances it out a bit as well.
Another